Okay, so welcome back to a very, very cold lunchtime in Oxford. I am hiding behind the camera so that you can't see how badly I am shivering. But we have been joined by a dynamic trio, one of whom you'll be familiar with before. But let's go around the... It's not even a room, it's like a quad. Let's go around the quad, introducing you to our listeners, first of all.
Hi, I'm Clementine Garcenot. I just passed my Viva at the University of York.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dr. Clementine.
Yeah.
Dr. Garcenot.
First person who is calling me that except for my mum, so this is a very exciting moment. And I'm working on women's writings of the French Revolution.
Amazing.
Hi, so I'm the one you're familiar with. And I'm a Severine, and I'm a PhD student at the University of York, the history department, working on British officers' families' relationship in the Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars and on mourning more specifically.
Hi, I'm Ella Harford. I'm a PhD student at Swansea University, and I study sexual deviancy amongst women between 1770 and 1830.
Amazing titles for all of your projects. Give us a quick sense of your papers and what you're either going to present on or what you have presented on so far here at the BSECS conference.
So I spoke yesterday. I was on the panel on motherhood, and my paper spoke about women and reproductive health, and how the French Revolution and the aftermath, such as the Vendée War, had an impact on women's bodies and had an impact on them during their pregnancy, when they were breastfeeding, and perhaps eventually led to the death of their children.
Genuinely, so I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they mentioned your paper. They didn't mention you by name,
Oh, did they?
but we started having this really in-depth conversation about conflict and fleeing, being a refugee, and all the rest of it, and the impact on the female body. So. You've made waves already.
Oh my gosh.
So that's really promising. Severine?
Yes, so my paper is on negotiating the absent body in the Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. So I'm looking at bereaved families in Britain, and because officers tended to die kind of far away from home, well, they had to mourn without a body. So how did they deal with that? So I'm looking at how being in close conversation with other officers at the front, them sending them details about how officers died, but often in a very idealized way, and also the role of objects, so sending memorabilia from the battlefield back home, how it helped in this negotiation of absence.
I mean, you haven't presented yet because you're on the same panel as me,
Yes,
so I can't kind of stand here and say, you've made waves too, but we can pretend if you like.
We
like
could,
everybody's talking about your paper, Severine.
Yes, or they will.
Seminal work right there. Genuinely, I'm sure it will be perceived that way, but like...
Yeah, also us being the only military panel usually makes waves by itself.
Yes, normally waves of people running away from said panel. Especially when some reprobate called Zach White is talking on the panel. Ella, what about you?
So I presented yesterday. I was in a panel on the politics of print culture. So I presented a paper titled The Scandalous Female Body in Print Culture. So I was looking at how adulterous women were represented in prints and how that compared to prescribed sort of more moralistic conduct literature on these women.
So I was sat in the back of that paper, and so in all the papers that I've sat through, I've been writing mini interviews, desperately hoping to get people to Vox Pop. Hasn't worked at all. Everybody just takes one look at it and goes, "Who the hell are you, you weirdo?" But of all the interviews that I've written, yours was the longest, which is really kind of indicative of just how interesting and thought-provoking your research was.
Thank you.
So. Basically, I'm being nice in a way to try and invite you back on the show so that we talk about it in full. Everything is Machiavellian when it comes to running this show. One last question before I let you go so that you don't freeze to death out here. What are you looking forward to over the course of the conference, or what's particularly kind of sparked your interest from the other papers that you've heard?
I went to a really interesting panel earlier on rape and how that's represented in literature. So I think something that I'm really looking forward to going forward is maybe incorporating some of those ideas into my own research and thinking about how that incorporates into women's bodies as well.
What I've really enjoyed about conferences compared to previous years, because I went to BSECS last year and the year before, I really noticed this time around there's a lot more international speakers. I always said that BSECS before was really, well, it's a British society, so obviously it's going to be lots of British speakers, people from British universities. But it's the first time I've been, and it's people from Canada, the US, Italy, Spain, or France, like me. I've just really enjoyed seeing people from outside Britain coming to the conference and speaking on topics other than just British culture, but opening it to, there was one this morning was about hairdressing in a little village in the north of France. And I think, yes, I've just really enjoyed how different it's been this time around.
It's my first day here at the conference, and so far, great panels. With the one I just been to before on the management of some deviant behavior in cities, but especially the ones taking place at night. So the definition of what counts at night, because it can just be when it's dark, because in winter it's dark at 3 p.m. And so how it changes throughout the year, and very interesting incursion of all these people that are sort of forgotten because they're at the margin of society, but also of the day, because they're only brought to at night. So that was very interesting.
See, I said that was the last question. I might have lied, just because I'm hoping that folks are going to want to follow up on your research and find out a bit more. So if we could just go around the three of you and just let listeners know how they can find out more about your really interesting research.
Thank you. I have a Twitter account. What's my username? Clementine Garcenot, if you just type that. There's a LinkedIn, Clementine Garcenot. There's an email address, clementine.garcenot@University of New York. And that's what you can do.
I'm also on Twitter, X now. I mean,
no, we call it Twitter.
Twitter, okay.
The more acerbic and the more disgusting Musk gets, the more I kind of entrench this idea that I'm calling it Twitter.
So I'm on Twitter. I'm a bit of a ghost, but I'm there. And I'm at Angers Severine, and also by email is probably the easiest way to contact me. So severine.angers@york.ac.uk.
I'm not on as much social media. I am a bit of a ghost. I am on Twitter, so you can find me with the handle EM Harford, and it'll say PhD student at Swansea History. That's how you know it's me. It's a bit of a blank profile, but I do sometimes post things, very rarely. Or you can email me. My email address is 953-291@swansea.ac.uk.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you all so much for braving the cold, because literally my hand is nearly falling off at this point. And I look forward to chatting a bit more over the course of the conference.
Thank you.
Folks, do me a favour. Go and review the show. Do it right now. 5 stars, please, and a comment, crucially. It takes you seconds, but it sends the algorithm wild and catapults us up the rankings. It's the most powerful thing you can do to support the hours of content that we provide for free. Love the show? Never want to miss the latest news? Sign up to our newsletter. The link is in the description, and get regular Napoleonic bulletins direct to your inbox. Looking for a present for the Napoleonicist in your life? We have a shop packed with Napoleonic Wars pod merch. Check out the link in the description. And did you know you can now gift people subscriptions to the Patreon perks we offer? So, if you want to treat someone to our online course, exclusive Meet the Author sessions, green room access to recordings, and exclusive episodes, head to patreon.com/napwarspod to find out more. Much love to all our Patreon supporters who are enjoying a rejuvenated and revitalized offering of perks on Patreon. Head to patreon.com/the Napoleonic Wars pod to find out how you can join a buzzing community of like-minded Napoleonic nerds who are enjoying things like courses, socials, book clubs, green room access to recordings, early releases, exclusive episodes, and much, much more. Their support is empowering us to triple our output and keep you entertained with Napoleonic nerdery on a near daily basis. Prices start from just £2 a month. So if you can spare the cost of a cup of coffee each month to support us, it would mean a huge amount and might even fund some documentary work. Shout outs to our patrons who, at the time of recording in mid-January 2024, were in the mentioned in dispatches tier: Brendan Teeling, Beatrice de Graaf, Lynn Dawson, Jim Deary, Josh Keeney, Colin Fieldhouse, Stephen Colson, Jim Getz, Stephen Gillen, Hugh Brennan, Alistair Campbell-Grieve, Andy Meakin, Mark Anscombe, Rob Coughlin, Bruins Girl, Noah Fink, Miles Reedy, Nick Overland, Graham Goodwin, Chris Pramus, Anthony Gumbau, Anonymous American, James Fluick, Natasha Hobday, Rod Schwager, Chris Kimball, Gary Dennis, Ted Andrews, Richard Anderson, Arthur Forgy, Sam Moore, Wyatt Pollock, Carol Dixon Smith, Roland Shark, Giovanni, Jean-Baptiste Van Merlen, Darla Vincent, Peter Findley, Jeff Maple, Ian Harding, Indiana Fats, Joe Ayres, Robin Brasher, Daniel Friedman, and Jonathan Willets. The Admirals, John Haynes, Mike Guest, Rachel Stark, Mark Duckers, David Priest, David Maxwell, Graham Callister, Sean Sullivan, Stephen Ashworth, Kate Walcombe, Clemens Beman, Charles McKay, Reto the Sci-Fi Fan, Tim Day, Jason Moran, and Tim Pritchard. The Chiefs of Staff, Adam Coslin. The Marshals, Ryan Diamond and J.C. Kaiser. The Legion of Scholars, Dan Hazelwood and Bob Burnham. And in the Crown Yourself tier, Emperor of the First French Empire Todd Campbell and the Duke of Wellington, Laird Campbell. We'll be back very soon, but until then, this has been the Napoleonic Wars Pod. On behalf of myself, Liam, Luke, Josh, and Zoe, take care of yourselves, folks. Stay well. And as always, thank you for listening.